Kelly, thank you very much indeed. We are about to get underway here. Leon Osman nicely wrapped up alongside me on the back row here of the press box, high in the main stand. We had a downpour earlier on that seems to have eased ever so slightly. Sean Dyche smiling away in his smart trench coat. He celebrates 8 years in charge of Burnley this Friday. What a spell it's been here at Turf Moor for Sean Dyche. I'll go through the teams for you. We'll start with Burnley. They have a solitary point from 4 games so far. They did win this fixture last season. One change from the 0-0 draw at West Brom. Eric Peters is injured. Matt Lowton returns at right back. He's been missing with a knee injury. So they line up like this. Nick Pope in goal. The back 4 is Lowton, Kevin Long, James Tarkowski and Charlie Taylor. 2 in central midfield, Josh Brownhill and Ashley Westwood. Jack Cork is out and Westwood is the captain. The wide men are Dwight McNeil and Johan Gudmundsson. The front 2, Chris Wood and Ashley Barnes. Burnley have managed only 1 goal from open play so far this season. Tottenham will close to within a point of the top 4 with a win. They are joint top scorers in the Premier League with Liverpool with 15 goals, and they line up like this with Bale on the bench. Dele Alli didn't travel as we are underway at Turf Moor. So Lloris in goal. The back 4 is Doherty, Alderweireld, Dyer and Davis. Midfield 2 of Sissoko and Højbjerg, Son and Moore in the wide positions, and Ndombele attacking midfield and Harry Kane up top. So Leon, what are you looking forward to tonight?
Well, I'm hoping that Spurs continue with the goal scoring exploits of the last few weeks, certainly in the 2 away games that they've had so far this season, where they've scored 11 goals. And I'm looking forward to seeing Burnley getting back to how they play, getting the ball forward to the front men, getting up and support really quickly. Dwight Neal with some terrific deliveries from the wide area.
Well, here come Tottenham in attack through Ndombele, and he is brought down. And there'll be a free kick. Michael Oliver's our referee today. It's Josh Brownhill who gets a yellow card very early on in the contest. Just bundled over Tanguy and Ndombele. And it's a free kick to Tottenham. 10 yards inside the left flank. About 20 yards or so outside the penalty area. And it was a clumsy challenge early on, Leon. He's got to be careful now, Brownhill, hasn't he?
Well, it's very early to picking up a yellow card, especially when you're up against the Tottenham team. You're playing defensive midfield. You've got a lot of work to do, a lot of covering. You have to be on his toes for the rest of this game.
Son curls it in. It's not a good free kick. It's cleared on the edge of the area by Brownhill, all the way down into the Tottenham half to Toby Alderweireld, and he drops it back to Hugo Lloris in all orange tonight. Tottenham joint top scorers in the Premier League with Liverpool, 15 goals, all in the last 4 games. Everton held them on the opening weekend, a 1-0 victory courtesy of Dominic Calvert-Lewin. It's the most goals they've scored in the opening 5 league games of a season since 1965. And as Leon mentioned, 11 goals in 2 away games. They plundered 5 at Southampton and half a dozen at Old Trafford, but they've also conceded 8, including those 3 in the final 9 minutes to West Ham last weekend. Here's Ben Davies restored to the side. Reguilon is on the bench, so too Aurier. So Mourinho has switched out his full-backs, which is something that Maurizio Pochettino used to do quite a bit of in the era of Kyle Walker and Kieran Trippier.
Well, the full-back role has changed, Arlo. It used to be the position that you sort of go to when you're injured, or you're just trying to stay in the team. Well, at the moment, it's the most energetic position on the field. You're expected to cover so much ground.
Rumble forward towards Harry Kane in the penalty area. He brings the ball under control, right-footed. Can't get his shot on target, but it was a good searching long ball forward. Acknowledged by Harry Kane. Terrific ball by Alderweireld, and the closest we've come so far.
Yeah, and it was very simple by Tottenham Hotspur. Alderweireld with just a straight pass over the top of the Burnley defence, right over the shoulder of James Tarkowski. Harry Kane just spun in behind. Alderweireld dropped it perfectly in. Harry Kane, one touch with his left foot, tried to spin and take the second touch with his right, decided he was so wide he maybe needed to dink the goalkeeper and just sent it over the crossbar, but great play.
Harry Kane is having a magnificent season so far. 5 Premier League goals, 7 assists. Burnley, though, they are the stark contrast to the free-scoring Tottenham Hotspur. Just 3 Premier League goals so far, only 1 in open play. Here's Ashley Barnes just outside the penalty area for Burnley. Now Brownhill wide to the left-hand side and McNeil. He has Charlie Taylor in support on the left-hand side. A hanging left-footed cross towards the back post. Goodmanson is there, and he forces a punch away by Hugo Lloris, but referee Michael Oliver has spotted a foul, I think, on the goalkeeper, and Tottenham survive. But that was a decent cross from the left-hand side by Taylor, and good build-up play by Burnley.
Yeah, exactly the play that I expect to see from Burnley as this game progresses. They had players in the penalty area. Charlie Taylor getting right up in the wide areas on that left-hand side, delivered to the back post. Goodmanson wins the first header, and then it's a battle between, I think it was Chris Wood and Lloris who got there first. Lloris got the fist to it. Chris Wood made contact, and the referee gave a foul, but good enterprise and play from Burnley.
Nick Pope with a right-footed clearance, all in green in the Burnley goal. They've only led Burnley for 10 minutes all season so far. They lost their opening 3 to Leicester, to Southampton and Manchester City. There are echoes of 2 seasons ago when they failed to win any of their opening 5 in the Premier League, and in fact at the halfway point only had 12 points on the board, but they recovered brilliantly in the second half of the season to stay up comfortably in the end. They would climb out of the bottom 3 with a win tonight. They have a throw through Lowton, back from a knee injury, finds Goodmanson, who rolls it back to Brownhill with his orange boots on. And it's all the way back to the halfway line, and Tarkovsky, a first-time ball. It's just a little strong for Charlie Taylor, but he catches up with it and sends it down the left channel to Ashley Barnes. The flag is up on the near side. Barnes was offside, and it's a free kick to Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah, he just went too early, did Harvey Barnes. There was an opportunity there. Doherty went really tight to McNeil and just left the space in over his shoulder, and Charlie Taylor left the ball in that area. Harvey Barnes had just gone a yard too early. Spurs get a cheap free kick.
Wrong Barnes, Leon.
Ashley Barnes, my bad.
He's just come back from injury, Ashley Barnes, hasn't he? But Harvey Barnes is on a lot of people's minds at the moment. He's had a terrific start to the season for Leicester, hasn't he?
He has. We'll concentrate on Ashley this evening.
Yes, we will. And it's an attempted turn by McNeil, but he loses out to Ndombele, and away down the right-hand side goes Lucas on his right foot. The cross comes in, it takes a deflection, and that was good for Nick Pope, who gathered at the second attempt under some pressure as well. But there are wide open spaces at the moment down the flanks for Tottenham Hotspur.
Oh, the transition was so quick there, and Ndombele won the ball in midfield, released Moore on the right-hand side, and suddenly, within seconds, Son and Kane were already in the penalty area waiting for the cross to come in. Good block in the end that sent the ball back towards Nick Pope in the goal. It's a very dangerous situation there for Spurs.
Well, Tanguy Ndombele has now started 4 of the last 5 in the Premier League. It's an interesting story for him. He cost a lot of money, £63 million from Lyon. He only started 4 of the final 25 last season, and Jose Mourinho went public in saying that he needs more effort from him in training, but he's backing him now, and we're starting to see some of the talent that Ndombele possesses. He got the equaliser at Old Trafford in that incredible 6-1 victory over Manchester United. Kevin Long, left-footed clearance, isn't a good one, straight to Ndombele, and now here's Doherty, signed from Wolves during the off-season, restored to the starting lineup tonight. A sliding challenge by Charlie Taylor, and it's come off Doherty last, and it's a Burnley throw level with the edge of their own penalty area on the left-hand side.
Yeah, just talking, and Ndombele, he really has changed things around for him during his career, a short career at Tottenham Hotspur. As you said, was very much out of favour. Public criticism, we've just spoke about that before the game, and suddenly he's back in Jose Mourinho's good books, and he's playing some good football. He's been a very big part of the last couple of Spurs results, so it's great to see him achieve this so far.
It was an interesting chat before the game as well about public criticism, and Jose Mourinho he's not shy in voicing his opinion about his team, and he ripped into them after the defeat at Sheffield United, didn't he, during Project Restart, and that appears to have been a wake-up call. And the latest player who's sort of on the end of his public criticism is Dele Alli, and he's not travelled today. He's only played 21 minutes in the Premier League since being subbed at half-time of the opening game. So Dele Alli has a bit of work to do to get back off the naughty step. Throw into Burnley, left-hand side, 0-0 here, 5 Live Sport, Burnley against Tottenham Hotspur. Burnley with a throw on their left-hand side just short of the halfway line. Just a few twinkling lights beyond the Bob Lord stand beyond us. This is in daylight, one of the great views in English football, with the rows of terrace houses and the chimneys and the mills, but it's complete darkness over there, and just the scene illuminated by the floodlights at each corner here at Turf Moor. Harry Kane drops it off to Ndombele, right-hand side to Mora. Here's Ndombele again, he's got a bit of space and room to manoeuvre, finds Højbjerg, and they're dropping off a little bit here, Burnley, not really pressuring in the midfield. Drop of the shoulder by Højbjerg, flicks it with the outside of his right boot, back to Eric Dyer, who's back from a hamstring injury that he suffered on England duty in the last break. Down the line it goes from Højbjerg, gives Ben Davies a lot to do, and Lowton sees it out of play, and in fact the flag is up for offside against Ben Davies. Free kick to Burnley.
Well, they held a good line there, did Burnley. Decided that once they got to the edge of the penalty area they weren't going anymore. James Tarkowski was barking his orders, and in trying to stay onside Ben Davies, he found himself 2 or 3 yards off the pass. He realised he then needed to go again, and the good line by Burnley saw him offside. But it's been good play by Tottenham. They're knocking the ball around really well, but good organisation there from Burnley.
Free kick taken by Pope across field to Charlie Taylor. He sends it down the line into the Tottenham half of play, but Spurs have won it back again. An energetic start by the visitors. Højbjerg, who leads Tottenham in all the categories in terms of ball winning, interceptions and tackles so far. He's the only Spurs outfield player to have played every minute in the Premier League. And here's Westwood for Burnley on the right foot, and it's an angle ball into the penalty area. It looked awkward when it left his foot, but didn't quite have the elevation to reach Chris Wood in the penalty area. Headed clear, and here come Tottenham in the midfield, and Harry Kane dropping a little deeper, as we've seen a lot of this season, to great effect. And Ndombele has overhit the pass through to Nick Pope.
He did, but how often these days have we seen Harry Kane come into deep positions, get turned, start attacks off for Spurs, and although he's 40, 50, maybe even 70 yards from goal at times, you've still got then the likes of Son and Mora playing right on the shoulders of defenders, and Son nearly got in on that occasion. Unlucky from Spurs.
Well, Alderweireld was taking a blow to the head 10 yards or so outside of the Tottenham Hotspur penalty area, and he's down clutching his forehead with both hands. Let's take a look at the replay here, Leon. He's taken an elbow to the face, hasn't he, from Ashley Barnes, who led with that left arm.
I'm seeing it again. Ashley Barnes has definitely got his eye on the ball. I don't know if there's any intent in making contact, but there's clear blood on the eye socket of Alderweireld. There was definite contact. It was more the forearm before after the elbow that made the actual contact, and it was certainly about shoulder height of his own body as he jumped. It definitely made a painful contact there.
Well, Michael Oliver, hands on his hips at the moment, we'll be chatting to the VAR officials at Stockley Park. Craig Pawson in charge of that team tonight, but there is blood on the right eyebrow of Toby Alderweireld. And looking at the bench, Joe Rodon, the new signing from Swansea City, a youngster, is the central defensive option, but I think the cuts man is on for Tottenham, just to see if they can stem the flow of blood from the right eyebrow for Toby Alderweireld. And as Rory Smith said before the game, he's a tough character. No further action taken, we don't think, against Ashley Barnes at the moment. Is that about right?
Yeah, I think so. I didn't see it as being a red card. We saw there was definitely contact. I don't think there was any real mean and any real force in trying to make contact. And when you're looking for a red card in those situations, you're looking for real intent. And although it was clumsy, no doubt about it, I don't think there was any real intent.
Well, Jose Mourinho looks a little concerned, and Alderweireld is still down on the ground being checked on by the training staff for Tottenham Hotspur. 31 goals in 9 games in all competitions, Leon, for Tottenham this season so far. And one or two people have drawn comparisons early on with his Real Madrid side of a few years ago. Do you remember that one? 121 goals they scored when they won La Liga with 100 points.
I'm sure he and the Spurs fans would be delighted if they got anywhere near that goals tally. But isn't it interesting that, towards the end of last season, start of this season, people were saying that Spurs needed to sign strikers and they needed to sign people at the top end of the field, because I think Son was away and Kane was injured and they looked bare. And suddenly now you look at the side, you've got Kane, Son, you've got Mora playing tonight, you've got Vinicius, you've got Bergwijn, you've got Gareth Bale to come in. That's not mentioning Lamela, Lo Celso, Dele Alli, who's, as you mentioned before, on the naughty step. So they've got real options at the top end of the field now, and expect to see Spurs scoring goals at will throughout this season.
Well, Alderweireld has gone full Terry Butcher stroke Paul Ince here. He's having the bandage put around his head, and they're just trying to stem the flow of blood from that right eyebrow. He looks a little dazed. The cut is right by his eye by the looks of things here, Leon, and it's very, very awkward indeed. And the bandage is covering his ears. He's just playing with that now to get comfortable. He's back on his feet. Looks like he's going to be okay to continue, but has the real look of a warrior about him.
Well, I don't know if he's got more than the one cut, because at the moment they've put a bandage right across, as you said, right round his head, covering the most part of his eyebrow, but he also does seem to have a cut on his actual eyelid, which they're trying to just put a bit of Vaseline on to stem the flow there, but they've moved him to the side of the field. It looks like he's going to continue.
Well, he started against West Ham last week, Alderweireld, after spending the previous 3 Premier League games on the bench, and he's got to go off the field to come back on having received treatment. That's a pretty lengthy stoppage of around 4 or 5 minutes, and Alderweireld sprints back on to the pitch, and we're back underway. So Ashley Barnes, who caused the problem, won the ball in the midfield. It's sent long towards Chris Wood. Wood does well in a challenge with Dyer. Ashley Barnes gets a shot away. Was he fouled in doing so? No, says Michael Oliver, who had a very good view of it. The shot was well wide, and Barnes limps away from the challenge.
It'll be really interesting. That came from Alderweireld not quite getting back into position, whether he's still a little bit dazed, and it's very awkward when you're playing with a big headband on and you're not used to it. The bandage may cover your vision at times, so I'm sure Burnley haven't seen him come back onto the field, but just knock the next one up. Let's see if he wants to challenge physically with Chris Wood and see how he reacts.
Leon, Burnley haven't had a tremendous amount of success against the quote-unquote Big Six clubs, but they did beat Tottenham here in February. But if you're a centre-back, Ashley Barnes and Chris Wood, they are a real handful with the way that Burnley play.
I'm pretty sure you'd come off the field with a few bumps and bruises when you've been in a battle with those two. They are very physical, they are very honest, they get into the penalty area, they cause problems, and they don't give you a second. So Sean Dyche tries to take advantage of that, getting the ball into them and try and get the benefits from it.
Well, here come Tottenham into the Burnley half. Doherty spins away from the challenge by McNeil, finds Musa Sissoko with those white sweatbands around each wrist. Sissoko again, Doherty, the give and go. Back goes Sissoko to the bandaged Alderweireld, just outside his own penalty area. Not closed down by Ashley Barnes, and he goes square to Eric Dyer. 0-0 here at Turf Moor between Burnley and Tottenham Hotspur on 5 Live Sport. Leon Osman and Arlo White with you at a chilly Turf Moor, I think it's fair to say. Long ball forward by Alderweireld. He's looking for the run of Mora, or perhaps even Kane down the right-hand side. He's overhit it. It was Doherty, in fact, who was sprinting forward. And it's a goal kick to Burnley. So neither side finding particular fluency in the early stages. And we're just waiting for the first real chance on goal.
Yeah, and both teams are playing slightly different formations, and yet neither's really took control of the game. The 4-4-2 against the 4-2-3-1. You'd expect one of the sides to be finding pockets of spaces or to be somehow getting on the ball in the wide areas, but as yet, you mentioned, the game hasn't really fell into a pattern.
Tottenham have won both of their games on the road so far in the Premier League, and they've scored 11 goals in the process. The first team in Premier League history to score 11 or more in their first 2 away games. And now it's Ashley Barnes' turn. He's on the ground, having taken a bit of a whack to the head. He's got himself a free kick, a wry smile on his face. He enjoys the battle, Ashley Barnes, and he's back up on his feet. Burnley's free kick 10 yards inside the Tottenham half. He's started the last 2 Premier League games. He had hernia surgery, been missing for a while. Ashley Barnes had a great start to last season, fell away a little bit and then was out for a long period through injury. High line for Tottenham, 15 yards outside the penalty area. They drop quickly now. It's floated towards the back post, to the corner of the penalty area. The header was won by Tarkowski, who now has to sprint back as Tottenham threaten a counter-attack. And it's Harry Kane, fabulous piece of control. He finds Heung-min Son, poor first touch from Son, but maintains possession. Here's Lucas Moura. There's room on the left-hand side for Ben Davies towards the penalty area. He tried to square it in towards Musa Sissoko. Perhaps wasn't the best decision. I thought he might have got a shot away there with his left foot. He was looking for Tanguy Ndombele, who was just inside the penalty area, but Tottenham have a corner kick.
Yeah, good play by Spurs. They move the ball very quickly, Harry Kane tried to release Son initially, but the ball was just a little bit behind him. He couldn't take it into his path, and then they manoeuvred the ball across. Good pace to the attack, ended up with a corner.
Which will be taken down beneath us to the left-hand side by Heung-min Son. He's got the short option of Ndombele, but he swings it in towards the near post. The heads go up. I think a Spurs head got there first, and then it was well defended by Burnley. Hooked half clear by Westwood. Not very effective though, the clearance, and Ben Davies can get it back to Alderweireld in the Tottenham half, and they can build again. Here's Højbjerg wide to the right-hand side, and Doherty. Højbjerg, the summer signing from Southampton, back with Alderweireld. We've got obviously empty stands here at Turf Moor with plenty of banners across the seats. No room for racism behind Nick Pope. Burnley FC in the community. We are Burnley, Super Burnley on the right-hand side. And it's Ashley Westwood's time to get a whack on his leg, and he's down and looks to be in a little bit of pain. Free kick to Burnley just inside their own half on the right-hand side, and it's Sissoko who somewhat sheepishly walks away.
Yeah, and it's not his first foul he's made in the last few moments, and it was just an under-hit pass by Chris Wood to Ashley Westwood. Sissoko felt he could have a nibble at it, and in doing so got there second and stamped right down the insole of Westwood's feet. So it'll be a sore on that. He won't appreciate that one.
No, and he's limping away on his right leg. The free kick is taken by McNeil towards the edge of the penalty area, well defended by Doherty. Burnley have it back through Charlie Taylor, number 3 on his back, ever present in the Premier League so far this season. A good ball whipped into the penalty area, the flag stays down, Barnes is through and Barnes scores! But the flag then goes up late, as we've seen so often this season. It was a terrific finish, and Ashley Barnes, I think, knew that he was going to be given offside. Let's have a look and see how far it was.
Yeah, you never quite know until you see them back, but initially it did look 2 or 3 yards offside. Even the referee already had his whistle in his mouth, just waiting to see if Ashley Barnes could finish the chance. He took it very well once he got in there, and it was just very simple by Burnley as Spurs cleared the lines for the free kick. It was just helped back in there, back over the top of them. Ashley Barnes was quickest to react. Touch and finish was fantastic, but it stayed offside.
Yep, good discipline by the Tottenham backline as well. It was a thunderous finish with his left foot. He hasn't scored since a penalty at Watford last November. We're just seeing a close-up on our monitors of a quite concerned-looking Jose Mourinho on the far side of the ground. He's got his big padded jacket on tonight, hands deep in the pockets.
Doesn't he always look concerned?
There's always a look of mild concern. Although I did see on our monitors here his pre-match interview, and he was laughing and smiling away with the interviewer. So I think he's in a pretty decent state of mind at the moment, Jose Mourinho, in the early stages of the season. I doubt that was the case after giving up 3 goals in the last 9 minutes against West Ham in their last home game last week. In fact, if you go to the controversial penalty against Newcastle, they've given up a lot of points late on at home. Ball through towards Lucas Moura, a sliding intervention by Charlie Taylor, back to his goalkeeper Nick Pope. He's outside his penalty area, he can only find Heung-min Son, and Son is fouled. There was the opportunity of catching Pope out of his goal, but again Son, just with the slightly heavy first touch, Lowton with the foul. I think Lowton might be going in the book here, we'll have to wait and see. No, I think Michael Oliver's going to keep the card in his pocket, but that was a really poor clearance by Nick Pope.
Well, it was a poor first touch from him initially that just didn't get the ball in the right place for him to make his initial clearance, so Moura decided to close him down. Pope needed another touch, still didn't get it into a nice position, swung his boot at it anyway, completely mishit it, came to Son's foot, who, it wasn't a bad touch from Son, it was just that Lowton was so close to him. Son decided he couldn't shoot first time, he had to try and beat him, and Lowton brought him down.
Son steps away from the free kick, it's curled towards the back post by Ben Davies, just over the head of Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, and Ben Davies just stares at the dark skies in East Lancashire in frustration at that. 0-0 here at Turf Moor, Burnley against Tottenham.
Yeah, I'll be disappointed with the delivery. Had a number of Spurs players in good areas there who've just gotten off the shoulders of their Burnley counterparts, but the delivery was poor. But Son, just before, if he could have just got that ball down. Pope was stranded so far out of his goal that, you're right, you wondered whether Lowton would have to take the yellow card, because it was a clever foul from him to stop Son getting the shot on an open goal.
Goal kick by Nick Pope, sent right-footed into the Tottenham half, brought down nicely by Ashley Barnes. Here's Lowton. He floats it in towards the penalty area, edge of the 6-yard box. It's a good claim by Hugo Lloris, who will be busy plucking balls out of the night sky tonight in his penalty area. Ball forward by Davis towards Son. It breaks kindly for the Burnley defence, thumped out of play by Charlie Taylor just inside the Burnley half on the left-hand side. Ben Davis will take the throw in. Tottenham are kicking from right to left in their white shirts, blue shorts, white socks as we look at the action. Burnley kicking to our right-hand side, behind which the stand behind Hugo Lloris is the Burnley Cricket Club. They've got their claret and blue shirts, white shorts and claret socks here at home. Here's Alderweireld just short of the centre circle, head swathed in bandages. Long ball forward by Eric Dyer. They don't mind sending it long here in the early stages, Tottenham. Brought under control first time by Moura. He's forced down to the penalty area. Left-hand side, rolls it back to Højbjerg. Closed down quickly by Westwood and tried to thread it in towards Doherty, but didn't quite get the timing right. And it's behind for a goal kick.
Well, he should have done. It was good play again from Spurs. It's been very simple for the centre-halves just to leave it over the Burnley centre-half shoulders. I mean, we're talking 70-yard passes that Tottenham are managing to get onto so comfortably. It was Lucas Moura this time off the back of James Tarkowski, bringing the ball down, starting the Spurs attack right on the edge of the Burnley penalty area. Quick couple of passes, and then in the end it was just a poor pass from Højbjerg when it was a nice simple opportunity to play in Doherty for a finish.
24 minutes gone at Turf Moor. It's Burnley 0, Tottenham 0 here on 5 Live Sport. Sean Dyche on the far side in the technical area will celebrate 8 years in charge here on Friday. He said, I've enjoyed every part of it. He said there's a pride in lasting that long. And here is his side in the attack down the left-hand side through Wood. Finds Westwood. Wide on the right-hand side is Lowton. He'll stand it up into the penalty area. Eric Dyer with the header clear. Cushioned down by Son. Gets a second opportunity and he sets away Tottenham on the counter-attack. Here's Moussa Sissoko across the halfway line being chased by Brownhill. Flicks it to the outside of his boot to Lucas on the right-hand side. Arriving here in support is Højbjerg. Now Ndombele. Burnley back in good number on the edge of their penalty area. Harry Kane 15 yards outside that Burnley 18-yard area. Ndombele again into the feet of Heung-min Son. Turns away from goal. It's out on the left-hand side now to Ben Davis. Back to Højbjerg. Patient build-up play here by Tottenham against a very well-drilled and organised Burnley side. Eric Dyer, all the time in the world in the centre circle, rolls it square to Alderweireld. McNeil closes down Doherty, finds Sissoko. He turns away and sends it back to Alderweireld, and at the moment it's difficult to pick between a very well organised Burnley.
Yeah, Spurs have been at their best when they've been pretty much on the counter-attack, a bit of tempo to their play, breaking into space behind Burnley defenders. Burnley have been able to get back in, as you've just seen. They defended it really well, even though Spurs had good possession in their half. Burnley's just seemed comfortable. They allowed them to play in front, just allowed them shuffled over, blocked the spaces, denied Spurs any good opportunity to turn, and Spurs ended up back all the way at their goalkeeper.
Yep, Tottenham not forcing the issue. Lloris found Dyer, and here comes Højbjerg. You're seeing a lot of the ball in the early stages. Finds Son in a pocket of space. Left-hand side is Ben Davis. Going to get across it. He does left-footed. It's an excellent searching ball, but it's over the head of Lucas Moura and hooked clear by Burnley up towards the halfway line. Challenge won by Toby Alderweireld. And he finds Højbjerg, and here's Harry Kane in a deeper position again. He's got Davis to his left-hand side. Rolls it into the feet of Heung-min Son, who's got his back to goal. They're back in great number again, Burnley, defending the edge of their penalty area. Davis on the left. Side-footed pass to Højbjerg. He gets it back from Son. Here's Ndombele, left corner of the penalty area. What can he do with the ball at his feet? He's got Doherty on the far side. On the right corner of the penalty area, Doherty, the cut back towards Moura. Brownhill almost concedes the corner. It's kept in very well by Charlie Taylor, and in the end the challenge comes in by Doherty. Excellent fullback play by the former Leeds man, and it's a goal kick to Burnley.
Yeah, again, pretty similar pattern that Spurs are moving the ball from side to side. Burnley are happy just to sit in the width of their penalty area, not become too stretched, not get exposed and one player go closing down and leave the others. They move as a complete unit from side to side, just trying to make it very difficult for Spurs.
Harry Kane and James Tarkowski, former England colleagues. Who knows, maybe Tarkowski will get a call again at some point. Just in conversation now, the two sharing a laugh and a joke. Harry Kane's start to the season has been remarkable. 12 goal involvements in the opening 5 games. That's a new Premier League record, by the way. Thierry Henry was involved in 11 goals a few years ago. Burnley on the attack. It's a ball in to the penalty area by Ashley Barnes, but the flag is up on the near side, and Tottenham have a free kick. Burnley 0, Tottenham 0. We are 28 minutes in here at Turf Moor.
And these offside decisions are getting more prolonged as we go along, aren't they? Ashley Barnes was clearly offside yet again. The assistant stopped, allowed him to run on, then decided to half go with him. Then once he'd got the ball and turned, then they put his flag up. And we're talking about making decisions quicker. We must have wasted a good 30 seconds of the game in that turnaround of play.
The ball is in the hands of Nick Pope, and he sends a high clearance from his hands, only reaches the halfway line. Just looking at the flag on the pole on top of the Bob Lord stand opposite, the wind is fairly stiff from right to left, so Nick Pope is kicking into that breeze. Didn't get much distance on that goal kick, and Tottenham have possession of the ball through Doherty. Spins nicely and finds the feet of Moura. Dynamic forward play by Moura. He's got Ben Davies in all sorts of space on the left hand side and finds him. Davies side of the penalty area. Can he pick his spot? It's the cutback towards Son, who showed a little bit too much of that to the defender in front of him, but he's got an opportunity here just outside the penalty area to maintain possession and continue the attack for Tottenham. Here's Højbjerg, centre of the field now, Sissoko. Sissoko rolls it gently to Alderweireld, who's got the option of Eric Dyer, and finds him. Now Højbjerg. Up on the left-hand touchline is Heung-min Son. Infield is Ben Davies. He finds Son. Davies runs towards the penalty area. The pass is slightly overhit, and it's Kevin Long who comes across. The Irishman concedes the throw in right by the corner flag, left-hand side for Tottenham, who are starting to build more and more pressure towards Nick Pope's goal. Back with Davies on the touchline. Son languidly plays it back to Højbjerg, and he lofts a lovely ball over to the far side to Doherty, brings it under control on his chest, then his right foot, and he finds Ndombele, but he's forced back by, again, a very organised and combative Burnley midfield. But they're showing patience here, Tottenham. And here's Eric Dyer, left-hand side, and finds Ben Davies, who played centre-back against Lask in the Europa League last week. A player who Mourinho calls a very intelligent defender. Davies in off that left flank, left-footed pass to Harry Kane. Shows a little bit too much of that to his opposite number 10, Ashley Barnes. Loses control and loses out to Westwood. And what can Burnley do in possession? They go back all the way to Charlie Taylor, who thumps it high down the line. And that ball will go out of play, I think. And it's a Tottenham throw. Just a little whiff of a chance of a counter-attack there, but Wood's ball back towards Charlie Taylor lost all the impetus.
It did, but Burnley are defending so deep, and that does include Wood and Barnes, who are pretty much only 15 yards outside their own penalty area. That it's so far to go. You get the feeling that Sean Dyche has set this Burnley side up to play in phases. He knows they're going to have to defend as a team, work their way up as a team. They'll sacrifice 10 or 15 minutes defending and try and take advantage when they get forward.
Excellent play by Tottenham. The cross comes in from the right-hand side, and it's cleared momentarily by Burnley. They win a free kick on the edge of the penalty area, but a lovely passage of play involving Lucas Moura as well, who played a nice ball out to Doherty on that Tottenham right, but it comes to nothing. Burnley have a free kick on the edge of their own penalty area. Nick Pope is in no particular hurry to retrieve the ball from behind the goal. Pope, who has started the last 42 Premier League games, and incidentally his former backup here at Burnley, Joe Hart, who was released at the end of last season, he's on the bench for Tottenham Hotspur, and I saw a nice little moment between him and Sean Dyche before kick-off. All smiles, the two clearly got on very well. Pope sends the free kick towards the edge of the Tottenham penalty area, headed clear by Alderweireld, helped on its way by Højbjerg to the feet of Ndombele. Does well to see off the challenge of Brownhill, but Brownhill did well. The former Bristol City man just poked the ball away from his toes, and it's a Tottenham throw out on the right-hand side, right in front of the benches on the halfway line. 32 minutes in here at Turf Moor on 5 Live Sport on this Monday night. Burnley 0, free-scoring Tottenham 0 so far. Long clearance with the left foot by Lloris, just inside the Burnley half. Tarkowski wins the header, falls to the feet here of Højbjerg again, and here's Eric Dyer, who once again is starting at centre-back in Jose Mourinho's Tottenham Hotspur lineup. Short ball to Højbjerg. He just flicks it out to the left-hand side to Davis. The two Tottenham fullbacks are seeing a lot of the ball. The cross in towards the near post is cleared easily left-footed on the volley by Tarkowski, and it's a throw-in on the left-hand side, about 10 yards or so from the corner flag to Tottenham Hotspur, to be taken by Ben Davis.
You get the feeling that Burnley are quite happy to defend crosses. They don't put too much pressure on Ben Davis and Doherty. They sacrifice those areas. They flood the middle with their own players and try and defend it.
Excellent play by Ndombele to wriggle through a challenge of Ashley Westwood. I think he was trying a shot there, Ndombele, and it cannoned off Kevin Long, and it's Ashley Barnes who brings it clear, and he's fouled by Sissoko on the right touchline. He tries to take a free kick quickly to no one in particular, but more to make the point that Sissoko hadn't moved away from the ball quickly enough for his liking, and he's having a little chunter away at the referee Michael Oliver. Ashley Barnes. Free kick though to Burnley. Lovely bit of skill, wasn't it, by Ndombele, and determination to get through the challenge of Westwood.
It was, but if he'd have picked his head up, he would have seen he had 3 Spurs players, 2 of which were unmarked in the penalty area. He went for goal from a very tight angle. Wrong decision.
Lowton sends the free kick towards the edge of the penalty area. Lucas Moura has fouled, I think, Charlie Taylor just outside the penalty area. It's a free kick in a pretty dangerous position here. What are we, 6-7 yards outside the penalty area, just to the left of Hugo Lloris's goal.
See, this is why you have to be careful when you play against a Burnley team. They can defend for large phases of the game like they have done. You wonder how they're going to get up the field, but 30 seconds before, Ashley Barnes pretty much bought a foul, I felt, on Sissoko. Suddenly Burnley are up the field, long ball forward, another foul, another challenge on the edge of the penalty area, foul 6 or 7 yards outside the penalty area. Now they have a real good opportunity to score.
It was Brownhill who was fouled, and he's teeing the ball up with his right foot, but Dwight McNeil would be a pretty good candidate with his left foot, with number 11 on his back, but it's Brownhill who steps up, takes it, and it was a yard or so over Hugo Lloris's goal. Mildly surprised that Dwight McNeil didn't take that. Did he not have the angle with the left foot?
I think Brownhill probably just done it in training, maybe just felt from that angle it suited a right foot better, but McNeil's been hitting them really well, so I'm pretty sure he'll be on the next one. But that free kick just always had too much power. It never quite had the whip or the dip to come back down once it had gone over the wall.
36 minutes in at Turf Moor in East Lancashire. Burnley 0, Tottenham 0. Here's Ben Davis for Tottenham on the left-hand side. Rolls the ball along the halfway line to Højbjerg. And the bandaged Alderweireld still feeling the effects perhaps of that errant elbow from Ashley Barnes in the early stages. Brownhill wins possession back for Burnley, left-hand side. Dwight McNeil turns back towards his own goal, finds his full-back Charlie Taylor, all the way back to Nick Pope, who takes a couple of steps back and then launches a high ball to exactly the halfway line. Now Goodmanson picks the ball up. He can have a little run here at the Tottenham back line. Still going, 10 yards outside the penalty area. To the left-hand side he goes. He left it just a little bit short of Dwight McNeil, and that enabled Moussa Sissoko to get a sliding challenge in. Throw in on the left-hand side for Burnley, level with the edge of the Tottenham penalty area. Yeah,
good tackle by Sissoko. Good covering as well, because 2 of his teammates, Eric Dyer and I think it was Højbjerg, just got in each other's way. Eric Dyer headed it into the back of Højbjerg's head, and it ricocheted into Goodmanson's position, so it was very important that Sissoko saw that and got over and covered.
Kevin Long finds Lowton, hooked forward by Westwood, and Eric Dyer here battling for possession in his own penalty areas. Back with Goodmanson. Goodmanson has some port on his right-hand side. It's Westwood. Westwood closed down by Højbjerg. Gets a cross in Lowton towards the near post. It's headed clear by Dyer. Helped on its way by Son. He can't find Harry Kane, and Long can just drop the ball back to his fellow centre-back James Tarkowski, who in turn trips it back to his own goalkeeper Nick Pope. First time clearance up towards the halfway line and beyond it. An aerial duel is won by Tottenham Hotspur's Ben Davis above Ashley Barnes. Here's Goodmanson. Bit of space in the centre circle here for McNeil. On his outside is Charlie Taylor. Taylor against Doherty out there. Brownhill is an option in field, but he skips around the former Wolves man rather easily. The low cross in towards the near post. Chris Wood was the closest to it. Alderweireld got it clear. Brownhill wins the ball back. Square pass to Westwood. Long range effort is a good one. Good save down to his right hand side by Hugo Lloris. Those were the best moments so far for Burnley.
Yeah, definitely the best we've seen from Burnley. Good enterprise and play by Taylor down that left hand side. Cross comes in, and when Alderweireld half clears it, Brownhill's onto it in a flash, bullies Ndomble off the ball, wins it back, plays it to Westwood, and that's what Burnley do. If they don't get anything on the first crossing, they maintain the attack, they keep you in, they win second balls, and it led to a shot from Westwood.
Well, it was nestling in the corner, and it had plenty of power on it as well. But had it taken a little deflection off Chris Wood in front of goal, Hugo Lloris would have been stranded. As it was, he avoided it, the broad-shouldered Kiwi, and it was a good save by the World Cup winner Hugo Lloris. So it remains 0-0, 38 minutes in at Turf Moor on 5 Live Sport. Alderweireld for Tottenham, right-footed side foot pass, square to Dyer, in turn to Højbjerg, left touch line, just inside the Burnley half is Davis, and he sends a long chip towards the edge of the penalty area. Lucas Moura looking towards referee Michael Oliver, felt he was pushed there by Charlie Taylor, waved away by Michael Oliver. Burnley in possession through Taylor in the left back position. Down the line he goes towards Ashley Barnes, it's over his head and goes all the way through to Hugo Lloris.
Well, Spurs have been at their best when they've had spaces to run into, opportunities to not necessarily counter-attack but stride into the Burnley half. I'd be tempted after seeing that last attack from Burnley just to allow Burnley to attack and leave a couple of players ready to go on the counter-attack.
Højbjerg showed too much of that to Gudmundsson, who curls a ball into the penalty area. It's just beyond Chris Wood, but again another opportunity for Burnley. With a bit more quality of service into the penalty area, they could have created a good situation for themselves. It was poor control initially by Højbjerg. Burnley got it back, and in the end it was Gudmundsson who couldn't find Chris Wood at that far post.
Yeah, sloppy play from Spurs, but it's the fact that Gudmundsson, when he's on this right-hand side, he comes back onto his left-hand side, and as he delivers it in, the cross is always just bending away from Chris Wood's run, just not quite able to get onto it.
Tottenham will build from the back as Højbjerg, a bit more assured than his last touch, finds Davis and then gets it back and rolls it to Eric Dyer. Square ball to Toby Alderweireld, just being closed down by Chris Wood. Moussa Sissoko is available in the midfield, but he goes square to Eric Dyer. I just wondered, Leon, we've seen, and Kelly was talking about it with Micah and Rory before the game as well, the crazy opening to the season in terms of goal scoring. It's a long ball forward that's thumped into the stand by Nick Pope, throw in on the right hand side to Tottenham, level with the edge of the Burnley penalty area. I just wonder if we've just seen the first signs of the brakes being applied this weekend. I was at Old Trafford for a rather cagey 0-0 between Manchester United and Chelsea. This hasn't, the blue touch paper hasn't been lit here just yet. I wonder if one or two teams are just playing a little bit more cautiously.
I think that's been the case of the whole weekend, and as you say, I think there's been so many goals that teams are starting to say, right, we're going to have to try and keep a clean sheet here.
Harry Kane trying to do something about that into the penalty area. Excellent challenge though, right on the edge of the area by Tarkowski. And a worry for Tottenham is that Harry Kane's a little slow in getting up, a grimace on his face as he just reaches down to his right ankle. It was an excellent block tackle, perfectly fair by Tarkowski. And he's back on his feet, Harry Kane, and just gingerly walking out of the penalty area to rejoin play. So hopefully he's okay as we approach half-time here at Turf Moor. Burnley 0, Tottenham 0. Sissoko in his own half. Looks upfield, but squares it to Højbjerg. On the halfway line is Harry Kane in possession. Looks to be moving okay now. Højbjerg into the Burnley half, finds Son. Højbjerg gets it back and finds Davis on the left-hand side. Nice little ball in to the edge of the penalty area, and Harry Kane, who tried a lofted flick towards Heung-min Son, but didn't quite get it right, and in the end, I think Lowton has prevented the corner, has he? It's a throw-in. No, it is a corner. The ball just went over the line under pressure from Harry Kane, so Heung-min Son will have the corner kick.
Yeah, the assistant on the far side gave the decision. His flag went up immediately. Spurs are having to be so precise in their play around the edge of the Burnley penalty area because of how close all the Burnley players are.
Ben Davis in some space on the edge of the penalty area, but Son goes towards the back post. The heads go up there. Doherty did excellently to get a header back towards the 6-yard box. He had to really stretch for it, but Nick Pope was able to gather cleanly. No real threat from set pieces offered so far by Tottenham. Pope with the ball in his hand, looking for an option to throw the ball out, but bounces it a couple of times. Harry Kane saying, how long is he going to take? And again, it's not a very long kick, only just about reaches the halfway line. Header won by Højbjerg. Harry Kane was in an offside position, so lets it run through to Pope, who obviously prefers the ball on the ground. That's a longer clearance towards the Spurs half. Header won by Dyer, lofted into the sky by Davis. Scrappy period of play, who's going to put their foot on the ball? It's Brownhill in the midfield, and then Dwight McNeil, a real technician for Burnley. Lowton, square to Westwood. Westwood's got the captain's armband. Jack Cork is out injured, and it's Kevin Long. Squares it to his fellow centre-back Tarkowski. It's back with Long again, closed down by Ndombele, and sends a long ball into no man's land, easy for Hugo Lloris.
Well, the game needs a spark, doesn't it? It needs one team to be brave. I was saying before, I think that, you know, when Burnley attack, Spurs are going back in numbers. They're defending honestly and properly, and I just think that maybe if they just took a gamble, just allowed one of their players just to play on the cheating role, as we call, just stay up, goal hanging alongside Harry Kane when the Burnley team attack, and just give yourself spaces to run into, give yourself a threat.
Charlie Taylor down the left-hand side then for Burnley. Only 1 point from their opening 4 games. That was a 0-0 draw against West Brom. Lovely ball by McNeil to find Goodmanson, who cuts it on his left foot on the edge of the area, gets the shot away down to his left-hand side. Hugo Lloris, that was heading into the corner. Another good save by the French goalkeeper.
Yeah, sharp down to his left this time. Previously he was sharp down to his right-hand side. It's Goodmanson cutting into that left hand, to that left foot yet again. Tries to come back towards the near post. He's just ran in away from. Hits it well. Lloris always equal to it. Good save.
Helped on its way in the midfield by Westwood, but only as far as Højbjerg, and Tottenham have possession again. Burnley emerging into the game gradually. They've had a couple of decent long-range efforts through Westwood, and that one by Goodmanson. Dwight McNeil with an excellent challenge on the far side, and he scampers down the left wing. Into the penalty area goes to Ashley Barnes. Barnes drops it back. There could be an opportunity of a shot on the edge of the area for Westwood, but he turns away from goal. Goodmanson on the left foot again. It opened up for a curler towards the top corner, but he got underneath it, and it sails behind harmlessly for a goal kick.
Yeah, I think the initial chance should have been with Brownhill in the middle of the field as the ball came to an edge of the box. Dwight McNeil wins it brilliantly from Doherty, who still complained to the referee. Right now Ashley Barnes gets into the penalty area, holds it up and plays it down just to the edge of the penalty area, just on the corner of the D for Brownhill's incoming run. Actually just saying to him, go on, have an effort from there, and he seems to stumble into it. Doesn't quite make the decision to have a shot, passes it on again, that gets passed on again, and the chance is gone.
We're into 3 minutes of time added on at the end of the first half because of the injury to Alderweireld, and it's Son who had a really good opportunity to slide a ball into the penalty area to Ndombele. Didn't get it right, and it's well defended by Burnley in the end, but Ndombele just collapsed to the ground in frustration.
Threw his arms up in the air like a kid throwing a dummy out of a pram then, wasn't he? The run was on though, he made a great run. Son just didn't pick his head up and didn't spot him.
Well, Ndombele's certainly a talented player, taking up some excellent positions. It looks like he's covering a lot of ground as well, and it was Jose Mourinho that was criticising him in training, as he has done with Dele Alli of late. But Ndombele, in fairness to him, has responded. McNeil down the left channel into the penalty area to Ashley Barnes, defended excellently by Alderweireld. He tried to get a left-footed cross in towards Chris Wood. It was blocked by Alderweireld. Would you class yourself in your career, I think I know the answer to this, Leon, as a good trainer?
I thought you were going to say substitute there. A good trainer. Yeah, I think I was. I always wanted to win and train and never liked to miss a training session, and tried to improve, I suppose, in training. So not everyone's like that. You know, I'd say probably 60%, and that's a guess, would be like that, but there are a number of players who just like to save themselves for games.
Here's Harry Kane, edge of the penalty area, on his left foot, gets a shot away, it's blocked excellently. I think it was Taylor, was it, diving into the penalty area to block that left-footed effort by Harry Kane. First half stoppage time, 0-0 here at Turf Moor. Burnley against Tottenham in possession. Alderweireld in the centre circle, square ball to Eric Dyer. Dyer just surges into that Burnley half. First time ball by Ndombele back to Højbjerg. Højbjerg finds Son in a pocket of space. He just prods it past McNeil to Sissoko. Right hand touchline is Doherty. Infield is an option to find Heung-min Son. He goes back to Sissoko, stabs it back again to Doherty, and the move breaks down. It's a throw in to Tottenham halfway inside the Burnley half on their right hand side.
Spurs just haven't been able to find a breakthrough here. That Burnley have defended very well. Spurs are trying to play with tempo. They're moving it from side to side and playing in pockets, but in this first half defensively Burnley have been very, very good.
Could this be a Gareth Bale night, Leon, in the second half?
Well, the way the first half's gone, one moment could win this game, one bit of magic could certainly be enough, and Let's not pretend he doesn't possess it in abundance.
Final minutes of stoppage time at the end of the first half. Lovely ball by Son out to the left flank, but the move is halted by the shrill whistle of Michael Oliver for half-time. Spurs dominating possession, but Ashley Westwood and Goodmanson have brought saves out of Hugo Lloris. Leon Osman, who's going to be the happier of the two managers so far?
Well, I think Sean Dyche will be the happier of the two managers. He'll probably known that his team are going to have to play for good periods without the ball. They're going to have to defend very well and try and take opportunities when they get them. And, you know, having got to half-time, they have defended solidly. I've just mentioned that moments ago. They've had a couple of efforts that we're speaking about, Goodmanson, shots in particular. So I think I'd be happy with how that first half's gone.
Kelly, the DVDs of the first half will not be flying off the shelves. Half-time here at Turf Moor, Burnley 0, Tottenham 0. Thank you, Kelly. We're just looking at both teams having emerged from the dressing rooms, and Sean Dyche, he doesn't walk across the pitch, he marches. He's like a drill sergeant up there. He's got his trench coat on. I mean, 8 years in charge. He's done so well. He's Mr. Burnley, isn't he? He's the third longest serving manager in all four divisions. He's the longest serving manager in the Premier League after Eddie Howe left Bournemouth. I mean, to keep a team on this budget, a club of this size, almost comfortably in the Premier League for as long as he has, it's a remarkable achievement.
It's fantastic. You know, he continues to do it year after year. You wonder when he's going to get the money to strengthen his squad. You wonder, you know, how he's going to continue to do it without any kind of reinforcements, and yet somehow they find a way. They find Brownhill, they bring in Stevens. You know, that they're not players they're not marquee signings, not players that you look and think, oh, he's going to really add something to that side, but they're very competitive. He gets more out of them than you felt that he possibly could, and that's what I'd call Burnley. They're a very competitive outfit year on year.
They certainly are. And here's Højbjerg for Tottenham Hotspur, who are attacking the goal away to our right-hand side. And straight away into the penalty area goes Harry Kane. Couldn't quite bring the ball under control, and Nick Pope gathers it cleanly and looks to set Burnley away again. Right-footed clearance. He's with the win this half, and that shows because his goal kick has almost reached the edge of the Tottenham penalty area. I'll just go through the sides for you in the opening stage of the second half. No changes to the starting 11, so Burnley, Pope in goal, back four of Lowton, Long, Tarkowski and Taylor. On the edge of the penalty area, Burnley attacking, and it's back with Dwight McNeil trying to get a cross in. It was blocked by Moussa Sissoko, who can get the ball cleared on the right hand side for Tottenham and finds a teammate, Harry Kane, but his first touch is a little heavy. In the midfield for Burnley, Goodmanson, Westwood, Brownhill and McNeil. Up top are Chris Wood and Ashley Barnes. And for Tottenham, Lloris in goal, Doherty, Alderweireld, Dyer and Davis are the defenders. Son, Sissoko, Højbjerg, Mora and Ndombele all behind Harry Kane. Long ball forward along the ground, looking for the run of Heung-min Son down the left-hand side. It was a sliding intervention by Kevin Long to get the ball clear, and it's a throw into Tottenham on the left-hand side, just short of the halfway line.
It's almost brilliant from Ndombele. The ball came up to him. He's under severe pressure. He controlled it. He turned the pressure from Lowton and tried to play a 60-yard pass in behind. I think it was Kevin Long to try and play in the advancing Son. He was almost there. He'd have been through on goal one-on-one, but it's a very important outstretched leg by Long.
Here's Doherty for Tottenham on the right-hand side. Finds Lucas Moura. Cuts in off that right flank. Easy ball back to Moussa Sissoko. The long ball a few yards behind Ben Davies, who has to turn around and retrieve it, and finds his teammate Højbjerg. A couple of minutes into the second half here at Turf Moor on 5 Live Sport. Free scoring Tottenham being held at the moment comfortably by Burnley. Into the edge of the penalty area. Moura, sliding challenge. There's a good one by Tarkowski. And Burnley will have a throw in their left-back position that I'm sure Charlie Taylor will take. And it's a very stern-looking Jose Mourinho, arms folded, peering out from his seat on the bench. He has some pretty tasty options off the bench, including Lo Celso. Gareth Bale is the obvious one. I wonder if we'll see him at some point during this second half. Here's Doherty coming forward, right-hand side. On the touchline is Moore. That's a lovely ball in field to Harry Kane. He finds Ndombele. And now Højbjerg out to the left-hand side to Ben Davies, closed down by Goodmanson. Back it goes to Højbjerg. He returns the favour back to Davies, and back it goes to Højbjerg. And again, it's a very well-organised, well-drilled Burnley side that force Tottenham all the way back inside their own half, and Eric Dyer rolls it back to his goalkeeper Hugo Lloris.
Oh, it's great pressing from Burnley. It's not always easy in a 4-4-2 system. You always feel like you're giving spaces away to an extra man in midfield, but every time they went to close down, they were looking over the shoulder. They were checking that there wasn't a pass in behind them. They were checking that a teammate was up in support of them.
Tottenham have given it away. Brownhill towards the edge of the penalty area, gets a right-footed shot away, but drags it wide. That was a little bit sloppy by Tottenham. Ben Davies, a shake of the head. He's in conversation with a couple of teammates.
Well, he is, but Burnley continued to press. As I was talking about it, they were acting on it, and it ended up bringing a bit of pressure on Ben Davies. He gave a sloppy pass away, and actually Brownhill should have done better. He had a bit of time on the edge of the penalty area to pick his spot, and he dragged it horribly wide.
Lloris has been the goalkeeper that's been forced to make saves, albeit from long-range efforts. Westwood with one, Gudmundsson with another, and Gareth Bale in his yellow bib on the far side of the ground is warming up. And I wonder if you're a Burnley player, whether you look across at that and go, goodness me, we've already got to cope with Kane and Son, and now Gareth Bale might come on, but actually Burnley are coping very well indeed. Hugo Lloris comes out of his penalty area, sends a ball long towards Moore. It's a header back to his goalkeeper by Taylor, off balance but did well, and Pope gathers it just inside the penalty area. Burnley 0, Tottenham 0 if you're just joining us. Tottenham have been easily contained so far by the home side. Ball falls in the midfield to Brownhill, and gets the ball out of his feet and finds McNeil, who invites Charlie Taylor into the attack on the left hand side. It's a deep cross towards the back post, and the header comes back in towards the 6-yard box. Burnley still have it on the edge of the penalty area, but then it's given away, and Ndombele can bring the ball clear, and he fires Lucas Moura in the centre circle. Left-footed, side-footed pass to Harry Kane, who turns upfield and facing Kevin Long, who stretches out a left leg and manages to repel that ball aimed towards Heung-min Son, and it's a throw in on the halfway line on the left-hand side to Tottenham Hotspur. Kane with those 7 assists so far in the Premier League season, 4 of them in one game for Heung-min Son, the first time that's been done in Premier League history.
They'd happily swap one of those goals for one this evening. Just stick with the hat-trick, because this game needs a goal. They need to somehow figure out a way of breaking this Burnley side down. They've been very stubborn, they've been very organised, Burnley, in a typical Sean Dyche manner. They've worked ever so hard, and they just don't give anything away. So Spurs are going to have to step it up. They're going to have to figure out a way of moving the ball quicker, getting people in pockets, and maybe even adding a bit of extra width.
Well, they've combined for 28 Premier League goals between them. Heung-min Son and Harry Kane assisting for each other. It's the 4th most productive partnership in Premier League history. Only David Silva and Sergio Aguero, Henry and Pires, and Lampard and Drogba teed each other up more. And they're still going here, Son and Kane. Tottenham in possession, centre circle. Here's Moussa Sissoko, steps forward, tries to thread it out to the left-hand side towards Ben Davies. It's prevented from getting out there by Gudmundsson, who now brings the ball down. Back it goes to Lowton. He sends the ball up towards the halfway line. Chest control by Højbjerg, but he is dispossessed, and Højbjerg goes down under a pretty heavy challenge by Ashley Barnes, who says to his opposite number, get up. Wasn't impressed with Højbjerg going to ground after that challenge. In the penalty area, Harry Kane is broken for him, but it's a foul on the defender. He cut inside as well, was about to unleash a shot. He might have been fouled himself, but Michael Oliver spotted the initial foul by Harry Kane, and it's a Burnley free kick inside their own penalty area.
He did, and he put his whistle to his mouth. It was a clear push by Harry Kane just to give him that half a yard. He just pushed into the back of Lowton. The referee put the whistle to his mouth and then sort of delayed himself as if he was just going to allow it to run on and see what happened, which just seemed a strange thing for Michael Oliver to do. He eventually pulled for the free kick to be given after Kane had been what looked like brought down for a penalty.
7 minutes into the second half here on 5 Live Sport. Turf Moor, Burnley 0, Tottenham 0, and we feel no closer to an opening goal than we did during a rather turgid first 45 minutes as well. Tomorrow night on 5 Live Sport, Champions League action for you. We've got commentary on Manchester City's trip to Marseille, with updates from Liverpool's game against Midtjylland. Here goes Chris Wood into the penalty area, but he's offside. The flag up on the far side. Free kick to Tottenham. On Wednesday, Manchester United versus Leipzig, with updates on Chelsea's trip to Krasnodar, and all the reaction and analysis to this game will be available on the Football Daily podcast. You can download it from BBC Sounds tomorrow morning, and hopefully we'll have a little bit more to talk about than we have so far. 0-0. Lloris sends the free kick into the Burnley half. The flag is raised on the near side against Harry Kane for offside. It was a commanding defensive header by Tarkowski, but Burnley will have a free kick.
And very bitty, hasn't it? Very stop-start, even when teams feel like they've got a few passes in. There's a foul involved, there's a stoppage of play, there's been a complaint, an injury. Neither team's really been able to get a real head of steam up in this game.
Well, interestingly, the first substitution will be made by Tottenham, and it's not going to be Gareth Bale because he's still got his bib and his coat on. It's going to be Eric Lamela, who is just sprinting from side to side down the touchline on the far side of the ground. Whether that's a sign that we might not see Bale tonight, we'll have to wait and see. Back pass all the way back to Nick Pope, right-footed clearance into the Tottenham half. It's a good header by Eric Dyer. And here's Lucas Moura, can't bring the ball under control on the halfway line. Charlie Taylor took possession for Burnley. Here's Dwight McNeil on his left foot, and he invites Taylor to sprint down that left-hand side, but it's an excellent covering tackle by Moussa Sissoko. The loose ball falls to the feet of Dwight McNeil. A nice little move by Brownhill to evade the challenge of Ndombele. Left touchline, Charlie Taylor. Backwards he goes into his own half to Tarkowski, and then he goes square to Long out to the right-hand side, and Matthew Lowton. Long ball forward towards Chris Wood, edge of the penalty area. He nods it down for Barnes. Right-footed, takes a deflection of Alderweireld and goes over the top of the crossbar for a corner. That was direct and almost very effective for Burnley.
Oh, they do that so well, don't they? It was Chris Wood who just pulled off the shoulder of Alderweireld. It's just a long diagonal ball from Lowton on the halfway line, right in front of the bench, in fact, to the corner of the penalty area. And Chris Wood just backs into Alderweireld, nods it down to Ashley Barnes, takes a touch, shot blocked, but that's typical Burnley. We expect to see that from Burnley. They haven't had players advanced enough in this game to do it.
And what can they do from this set piece? The corner kick on the Burnley left to be taken right-footed, curling in by Ashley Westwood. He's got a three-step run-up. Approaches the ball now, and it's a good corner, and the header comes in right on the edge of the 6-yard box by an off-balance Tarkowski, and it drops harmlessly wide in the end. And Hugo Lloris decided to stay at home for that one and almost paid for it.
Yeah, I don't know whether he was blocked, but the ball must only be 5 yards out, right in the centre of the goal, and Tarkowski just gets a yard on Eric Dyer, just runs in behind him. Eric Dyer completely loses him, but unfortunately for Tarkowski, he just ran a yard or two past the ball, which meant that he could never quite wrap his head around it to direct it on target.
So Eric Lamela comes on for Lucas Moura, who may have an injury issue. We'll have to wait and see, but Lamela's on, number 11 on his back. The first change of the game so far, and Gareth Bale is now got his right boot on the advertising hoardings, doing his laces up. Maybe that's a sign that we may see him fairly soon.
Yeah, I'm not surprised to see that change first, though. I think that it could have been for one of the midfield three of Spurs to give Lamela the opportunity to go and play in pockets of space, but Spurs have not been able to get anybody in that number 10 position who's been able to get the ball in and turn and pull strings and release the likes of Son. The passes have been too long, so let's hope Lamela can add a bit of impetus for Spurs.
12 minutes into the second half here at Turf Moor. Burnley 0, Tottenham 0. And I can't remember a situation in the game so far where Nick Pope has been forced into anything like a save in the Burnley goal. Lloris has had to keep out a couple of decent long-range efforts from Westwood and Goodmanson that were heading into the corner of the net. But in terms of goal-mouth action, the game has been sadly lacking so far. Throw in on the right-hand side in their own half to Burnley. Thrown into that Tottenham half of the field. Square ball to Alderweireld, who's still got the bandage around his head after that early elbow from Ashley Barnes. Alderweireld gets it back. Into the midfield it goes to Højbjerg. He's got Doherty on the right touchline. That's why I was thinking of Wolves, obviously. Infield he goes to Sissoko. And again, it's all rather pedestrian by Tottenham Hotspur. Sissoko back to the edge of his own penalty area. And Alderweireld. This is a team that have scored 15 goals over their last 4 Premier League games, 31 in all competitions in 9 matches so far this season, but they're being comfortably held here by Burnley and are creating a massive amount going forward. And the ball He's back with Nick Pope, who's just jogging across his penalty area and just places the ball down on the ground on the edge of the 18-yard box and sends a right-footed clearance into the Tottenham half. Eric Dyer wins the header, but it falls here to Dwight McNeil in the orange boots. The give and go on the edge of the penalty area, but he loses his balance, and it's Ndombele who tries to bring the ball clear, but Burnley have it back. Nice weaving bit of skill by McNeil. Looking for a teammate. Out to the right-hand side he goes to Lowton. Lowton infield to Goodmanson. Here's Brownhill, edge of the centre circle, but he plays a right-footed pass directly out of play, and it all rather sums things up at the moment. A tad lacklustre here on a Monday night at Turf Moor.
Yeah, he took the words right out of my mouth. I think that probably just sums it up. A lot of players around the ball trying to pass it, both teams giving the ball away, eventually one team winning it back, one pass, and then Brownhill knocks it out of play without any real pressure on him. So yeah, both teams need to step it up. I think if either of these teams wants to get the 3 points.
It's a foul on Ben Davis, but advantage being played by Michael Oliver, and here comes Doherty down the right hand side for Tottenham, in for Serge Aurier, as Davis is in for Reguilon as well at left back, and Ndombele. To the right-hand side he goes to Doherty. Doherty running at Charlie Taylor into the penalty area. Lamela had taken up a really good position but couldn't bring the ball under control, and the chance is lost. But now Tottenham have it back, but there's a foul by Ben Davis on the edge of the penalty area, and Burnley can ease the pressure. Now Lamela had a nice little pocket of space there but couldn't bring the ball under control.
Yeah, you can see from the look on his face he's a bit disappointed with that. The ball came out to the right to Doherty. Spurs worked it really well, and just as you thought he was about to deliver, he just gave the eyes and played a little cheeky pass along the floor into Lamela, who I think was expecting the cross himself, caught him unawares, and he wasn't able to bring it in. If he had, he would have been in a great position to get a shot on goal.
Once again Nick Pope taking his time with the restart, 10 yards outside his penalty area, and it's a right-footed free kick into the Tottenham half. A good battle and a tussle between Doherty and Chris Wood, and the ball falls here to Brownhill. Good sliding challenge on Højbjerg. Here's Dwight McNeil, who's just growing in influence in the game. Ball at his feet, running at a couple of Tottenham defenders out by the left touchline. Lovely nutmeg against Doherty, side of the penalty area, square ball inside the area. Brownhill on the edge of the area, squares it to Westwood, and it's an excellent block, a right-footed shot. Ben Davis smothered the danger, but nice football around the penalty area by Burnley.
And all down to Dwight McNeil being positive in his play. He didn't just get it and pass it, he decided to run at Tottenham Hotspur's defenders. He ran at Doherty, then Lamela came home, he decided he'd take a bit of him as well. Højbjerg came over, I think he ended up nutmegging Doherty and all that pressure, created a chance, but positive play.
Still only 20 years old, Dwight McNeil. He's now started the last 44 Premier League games for Burnley, an academy product. He joined from Manchester United's youth system in 2014. He was released by United, he says, because his set pieces weren't the best. They were the boyhood club of his dreams, but here he is now with a new 4-year contract at Turf Moor. A regular starter for Sean Dyche's side. Tottenham in the attack. Here's Doherty on the right corner of the penalty area. It's a cross to nobody in particular, headed clear easily by Long. Ball bouncing around in the midfield area. Højbjerg has it 15 yards outside the penalty area, central position. Doherty again rolls it into the penalty area. Son, that was a good position taken up, and in the end his cross is forced behind by Tarkowski, and I think it's bounced back off Heung-min Son, and it's a goal kick.
Yeah, it's better from Spurs though. Again, Doherty looking like he's going to cross. Heung-min Son made a great little darting run into the space just inside the penalty area. Doherty played him in again, and then when you're asking, has he got the composure to pick somebody out? He tried, but yeah, again, good defending. Tarkowski and Long, both of them over very smartly to stop that cross going into their 6-yard box.
What needs to happen here to liven things up is Heung-min Son picking the ball up on the edge of his own penalty area, running 70 yards and smashing it into the back of the net like he did at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium last season. It was the Premier League goal of the season, a 5-0 win that day for Tottenham Hotspur, but no sign of that sort of inspiration so far here tonight. The ball's in the arms of Hugo Lloris, who's pointing with his left hand towards a teammate and rolls it out to Alderweireld. He goes long down the centre of the pitch, and it's a good header won by Kevin Long. Davis infield to Sissoko, inside his own half, strokes the ball sideways to Alderweireld. Alderweireld, a little drop of the shoulder and plays it out to the right-hand side to Doherty, who stands on the ball with his right foot, tried to flick it infield towards Lamela, could only find Dwight McNeil. Slight chance of a counter-attack for Burnley, but it's tidied up by Tottenham and thumped clear into the Burnley half by the left foot of Hugo Lloris. A backtracking Tarkowski gets a header in. It's Ndombele, who's all over Brownhill, who kept his nerve and kept calm, trusted his technique, found a teammate, but it's a long, aimless ball into the Tottenham half of play, easily brought under control by Eric Dyer. Now here is Heung-min Son. Can somebody out there produce something of quality, a moment of real quality to break the deadlock here in this stalemate so far at Turf Moor? Burnley 0, Tottenham 0 on 5 Live Sport. Leon Osman and Arlo White in the back row of a very tight, compact press box here at Turf Moor. Eric Dyer into the Burnley half, draws 1 or 2 defenders out to meet him. Square ball to Ndombele. The cross goes into the penalty area towards Dyer, and he got a head on it, and so did a defender. It's gone behind for a corner kick, but Eric Dyer, I think, deciding that something needs to happen up front, and he's going to try and do it himself from centre-back.
Just taking responsibility, and it's created a chance, just like Dwight McNeil did at the other end. Eric Dyer decided, I'm going to try and make an attack for Spurs. I'm going to move a couple of Burnley players around, and they got a corner from it. Positive.
What can they do with the set piece? It's curled in, left-footed. It's a decent service, edge of the 6-yard box, though. Headed clear at the second attempt by Charlie Taylor. And now Ashley Barnes, there's an advantage being played. He was fouled on the edge of his own penalty area, but here come Burnley down the right-hand side. It's a ball in field to Gudmundsson. And he's got a little bit of room to manoeuvre. Plays it out to the right-hand side. Gudmundsson gets it back. They've got 1 or 2 attackers in the penalty area, and Chris Wood looked frustrated. He was at the back post, unmarked, and in the end it was delayed so much that Tottenham able to get it clear for a throw-in on the far side.
He's right to get frustrated. He'd pulled off into a great position on the back post. Burnley had 3 players around the ball who were all looking for each other to take responsibility. They were just passing easy passes, and I think that's been the story of both teams in attacking sense. They've taken the easy pass rather than trying to be brave enough to create something themselves.
Walton with the throw in front of the banners that read "We miss you" and "Come on Burnley." Here's Lamela though for Tottenham. And he plays it out with the outside of his left boot to Harry Kane on the left touchline. Bit of space here for Højbjerg on the right, and he brings Doherty into the action. They're all waving for the ball in the penalty area, the Tottenham players. It's brought down on the chest of Lamela. He spins and somehow finds Harry Kane. He's on his left foot. Now he's right. Left again. Lowton did excellently to concede the corner. Harry Kane looking threatening in that move. Tottenham looking much more convincing in attack, and they've got a corner kick.
Yeah, Doherty yet again. He's probably been the one player for Tottenham Hotspur in this second half who's consistently tried to create something. He just hung the ball up in there and said, "Go on, Harry Kane, what can you do?" He nearly scored.
Corner kick. Harry Kane on the edge of the 6-yard box. It's curled into the near post. It's an excellent header cleared by Ashley Barnes. Tottenham have possession in the centre circle through Alderweireld. Here's Højbjerg. On the right touchline is Doherty. Doherty with a long angled ball towards Heung-min Son, but it's all very easy for Lowton, who just drops a casual header back to Nick Pope, and another attack for Tottenham fizzles out.
Yeah, commentator's curse on Doherty there, wasn't it? But at least he's trying something. And Spurs have had a lot of possession in the middle of the field tonight. Sissoko, Højbjerg and Ndombele in particular have all just played steady, just played to the left of each other, just played to the right of each other rather than firing it in at Son's feet.
Cross goes into the penalty area. Chris Wood, the flag has gone up as we expected. He brought the ball down on his chest, couldn't get a shot away. Lloris gathered cleanly anyway, and we are 22 minutes in to the second half, and we're still awaiting the opening goal of the game. Burnley 0, Tottenham 0 here on 5 Live Sport. Tottenham in possession through Højbjerg. He's got Doherty on the right-hand side. Dwight McNeil just trots across to close him down. Doherty thought about the forward pass, but back he goes to Sissoko. Sissoko with the right foot to Højbjerg. On the left touchline is Ben Davies. Down the line is Son. Davies cuts in field. Ball back to Højbjerg again. Very deliberate, patient build-up here by Tottenham. Højbjerg's had a little clash there, I think, off the ball with Ashley Barnes and gone to ground, but Michael Oliver saw it. It was accidental. We play on. Halfway line is Eric Dyer. Brings it forward to Højbjerg. Left touchline here is Ben Davies. Room for a cross, but then it's closed down quickly by Lowton. and goes out of play for a throw-in on the left-hand side, taken quickly halfway inside the Burnley half by Davis, but once again Tottenham go back, this time to Eric Dyer. And that's a long diagonal ball out to Doherty. Brings it down on his chest, chips it into the penalty area. It's a flick by Ndombele, but it's straight towards Nick Pope. Two teammates in the penalty area, Son and Kane, were nowhere near it.
No, it was a good run by Ndombele. Great crossfield pass by Eric Dyer to Doherty yet again, who's, as I said, figuring heavily in the second half, and he lifted a lovely ball into an in-running Ndombele as he was striding into the penalty area, but he just tried to flick it when he was off balance and it was in the air, rather than bringing it down, getting hold of it and seeing what came of it.
Just having a look over at the Tottenham dugout, Leon, one of the substitutes, and I can't see which one at the moment, has just taken a bib off. It's not Gareth Bale, so I'm not sure we're going to see Gareth Bale tonight. Tottenham in possession, and it's Eric Dyer who finds Lamela in the centre circle, shrugs off the attentions of McNeil and strokes a lovely ball out to the left hand side to Davis. Davis with some room for a cross, it hits the heel of Lowton. It was a good opportunity to get a really testing ball into that penalty area, but Davis couldn't come up with the goods, and then Dyer has been dispossessed by Chris Wood running towards the penalty area. Is he given handball there, Leon?
I think he has. I think that it hit his elbow, did it? I mean, I'd like to see it again. The argument of is it a natural position? Eric Dyer just got a bit lethargic. He decided to try and take the ball off on his old shoulder rather than pass it back to his goalkeeper, and he very nearly got caught out.
There's a long ball forward towards the edge of the Burnley penalty area, and once again it is repelled by the Clarets back line. Here's Ashley Barnes in possession now. Chris Wood running towards the penalty area for Tottenham Hotspur, wins the ball back again off Sissoko, and that's ricocheted off Matt Doherty's left knee and gone behind for a Burnley corner kick, and Chris Wood is still remonstrating with Michael Oliver about that previous incident where he was penalised for handball.
I'm not surprised. It certainly needs a question. It hits him right on the point of the elbow, but he's not looking at it. His arms are into his chest and the ball ricochets into his path. I mean, rules have been changed so much these days, I'm not quite sure what's what, but I thought that was particularly harsh. Even he would have been through 1v1. It could have been the opening goal in this game.
Dyer and Wood having a little laugh about it. Carlos Vinicius is going to come on at some point fairly soon for Tottenham. He was the player who had removed his bib and jacket. Right-footed corner kick here by Westwood under the crossbar. The header comes in. It's headed off the line. The goal decision system will say no goal. That's the closest we've had to a goal so far tonight. Brilliantly defended by Tottenham Hotspur, but it was a lovely curling corner by Ashley Westwood, and that was close. And here's Brownhill on the edge of the penalty area for Tottenham, but there's a foul on a Spurs defender, and it's a free kick to the visitors. Let's take another look at the replay here. Who got the header in here? Was it Tarkowski? I think Leon cleared off the line by Harry Kane.
Well, Tarkowski wins the first header. It's such a commanding header. He's only challenging Højbjerg. He gets up on the shoulder of him. He's about 5 yards out towards the back post. He does exactly what you ask him to do. Heads it back across the goalkeeper. It's going in, all but for Harry Kane, who leaves his man. As the ball travels over his head, he decides to leave the man he's marking and run back to the goal line, and it's fantastic play from him defensively. He smelt danger and got back in to thwart Burnley.
Goal scorer, assist provider and last line of defence, Harry Kane on this occasion, keeping that Tarkowski header out. That's the closest by far we've had to a goal so far tonight, but it remains 0-0. Taylor with a throw-in down the line inside the Tottenham half. It's headed out of play by Højbjerg, so he'll try again. And Jose Mourinho looked thoroughly fed up on the far side with his arms folded, sitting back on the bench. He's about to make his second change of the game. A right-footed effort by Chris Wood. It sat up nicely for him, but it was a poor strike straight at Hugo Lloris with no particular power in it. And we're about to see Vinicius come into the game at the next stoppage. Between the lines goes Højbjerg to Ndombele. Right-hand side here is Eric Lamela. The ball at his left foot. He's going to pick across towards the back post. It's an excellent cross. He goes to ground at the far post there, Davis. He's not dragged down, I don't think. Michael Oliver has given the goal kick. Davis immediately peered round, felt that he was fouled at the back post. Not so, says the referee.
Gudmundsson did brilliant. Lamela just comes in onto that left foot of his, just on the corner of the box on the right hand side, and just whips it towards that back post, and Davis may have got there. He's timed his run perfectly to stay onside, and Gudmundsson just sort of blocks his run, jumps into him a little bit. It's clearly not a foul, but he does just enough to stop the Tottenham man getting on the end of that cross.
Hasn't scored in the Premier League for over 3 years, since a goal at Huddersfield. Ben Davis. McNeil lofts the ball to the edge of the penalty area, headed clear by Alderweireld. Here's Barnes, he's dispossessed by Doherty, and Doherty can bring the ball out of the area for Tottenham, but there's precious little movement ahead of him. He thought about going very long there towards Son, who was streaking down the middle between the centre-backs, decided against it, and here's Højbjerg. Between the lines he goes again to Ndombele. Ndombele through towards Heung-min Son. Son for Tottenham, best chance of the half for the visitors, and it's blocked brilliantly at the back by Long. Just as he was pulling the trigger, Heung-min Son, the Irishman slid in and blocked the effort, and it stays 0-0.
That's the first time in this game that Spurs have been able to release Son through the centre of that Burnley defence, and it's all down to Ndombele getting turned. It was a great pass into him in the centre of that midfield. He got turned very quickly, played in Son, but a terrific tackle, a full stretch from Kevin Long.
Here's Dwight McNeil, left corner of the penalty area for Burnley. Just signs that things are heating up a little bit here on the field. Certainly not off it here at Turf Moor on a chilly Monday night. Here's Brownhill, left touchline to Taylor in field to the orange booted Dwight McNeil, but he runs into trouble and he's dispossessed by Højbjerg, who gets it back from Son. Son now running at the back line for Burnley. Square ball to Lamela. On his right hand side is Kane on his right foot gets the shot away. Again it's another block, this time by Tarkowski, and the chance, it appears, was lost, but it's a corner kick to Tottenham on their right hand side. Just not quite dynamic enough on the counter-attack, are they?
Should have done better, really. Just seeing that earlier chance again. Heung-min Son, he probably just took an extra touch than was necessary. He just needed that extra touch because the ball was just a little bit too much in between his feet, and by the time he moved it again, just gave Long the opportunity to make that tackle.
Fabulous challenge by the Irish defender, wasn't it, on Son?
He had to get it right. He was the last man. He was having to get off his feet. Terrific.
Lamela curls in the corner, kick, the head's going, but it's there. We have the opening goal. Heung-min Son has scored it, and Tottenham have the lead. And he has his 8th Premier League goal of the season, the top scorer in the league. The initial header was won towards the back post, and there was Son to nod it home into the top corner. And it's Burnley 0, Tottenham 1.
Well, you mentioned the relationship that these two players have. It's Harry Kane, I think, yet again with the first header. Cross comes in, he just seems to pull out Harry Kane. He meets it, he throws everything he can onto that header, all of his neck muscles to try and keep the ball in a lively area. And as he's coming out, Son's gone right round the back, running in towards the back post. They've combined yet again. Son's header's perfect. He just directs it into that far corner, back across the despairing Nick Pope. And in a game that's lacked in chances, lacked in opportunities, Son's took one.
And these two link up for the 9th time in the Premier League this season. It's quite remarkable. It's an 8th Premier League goal of the season for Son and an 8th assist for Harry Kane. Extraordinary, the form that those two are on, and Tottenham have the lead, and it's all on Burnley now to try and rescue the situation. They are faced with being on a single solitary point from their opening 5 games, and Doherty turns away from Dwight McNeil and brings the ball forward down the right hand side. And Ndombele, is he fouled by Brownhill on the halfway line? No, says Michael Oliver, and Brownhill can find Kevin Long. And all that excellent defending over the last 10 minutes or so comes to nothing for Burnley, who concede first. Here's Gudmundsson. Westwood sends it forward into the right channel for Ashley Barnes. Barnes drops it back, and it's Westwood in possession. And now McNeil swings it across. Brownhill, in fact, and here's McNeil on the left-hand side for Burnley. Now Taylor stands it up to the back post, has to be dealt with by Davis. In the end he leaves it, and Gudmundsson wasn't attacking that ball at the far post. Goal kick.
There was so much uncertainty with everybody left it. Wood decided he couldn't go for it, Eric Dyer decided to take a step for it and left it. Davis did the same, and somehow it went all the way through for a goal kick.
And Ndombele's day is done. 13 minutes remaining of the 90 here at Turf Moor, and Giovanni Lo Celso will come on for the closing stages. Are you impressed with Ndombele?
He's done okay. I think he just figured heavily in Spurs managing to get forward a couple of times to create the goal. He's been effective in the middle of the field without being inspiring. But it's never easy coming away to Burnley on a cold winter's day in East Lancashire. So he's certainly been a part of Spurs taking the lead here.
He's getting warmly greeted back on the Tottenham bench, Tanguy Ndombele. Tottenham lead here by a 1-0, courtesy once again of Heung-min Son. Burnley pressing for an equaliser. Long ball forward by Taylor. The header by Barnes. Barnes in and around the penalty area. Chris Wood couldn't find him. And it's given away by Lowton. And here come Tottenham again through Ben Davis. And Davis has spotted the run of Son, who's sprinting away down the left-hand side. Brings the ball down with his left thigh. Turns to run at Kevin Long. The square ball is a good one to Lo Celso. He's left in a heap on the floor there, Heung-min Son. I think it's a very late challenge, wasn't it, by Kevin Long, who gets a yellow card. Or was it Lowton who fouled him? Son is still down. I think we heard the shriek from here. No, it was Kevin Long with the challenge. Let's take a look at the replay here, Leon.
Yeah, he's just left a little bit on him, hasn't he, as Son's played that pass inside, as his foot has continued through the movement. Long's just left his leg there and basically left his studs up for Son to kick. It's a sore one. He's known exactly what he's doing, is Kevin Long, and I think it's born out of frustration.
So a free kick on the left corner of the penalty area, probably about 10 yards outside on the left-hand side for Tottenham. It's been placed down quite deliberately by Eric Lamela. Doherty is creeping up unmarked at the back post. Lamela chips it in, the heads go up and it's defensively headed clear towards Doherty by Taylor, and the header towards goal is easy for Nick Pope. It came off the head of Giovanni Lo Celso.
That was a great first ball in, right into a very dangerous area. Just nobody could quite get enough on it to direct it toward Nick Pope's goal, but terrific delivery.
Well, if they hold on here, Tottenham, they'll be within a point of the top four, but after the late drama of their last home game, you would count nothing out. For the first time in Premier League history, a team leading 3-0 after 81 minutes only got a point. That's a push on the halfway line into the back of Harry Kane by Kevin Long, who just looks a little frustrated at the moment. Kane is dragged to his feet by Ashley Westwood. Free kick on the halfway line to Tottenham towards the left-hand side.
It's as if their performance this evening's been affected by that. I wondered at the start whether it would. I didn't think it needed to necessarily because of the way they played. It was just a bad 10 minutes, but they've been very cautious in this game, Spurs. They've tried not to give too much away, and that's why they've, at the moment, kept a clean sheet.
Vinicius has got his bib back on. We were expecting to see him a few minutes ago, but he's warming up on the far side now. Inside the final 10 minutes then, at Turf Moor, Burnley 0, Tottenham Hotspur 1. Heung-min Son with his 8th Premier League goal of the season, teed up once again by the head of Harry Kane. Here's Sissoko, right-footed ball back to his centre-back, Eric Dyer. Now Davis, infield it goes, Tottenham lose possession and Burnley have it back, right-hand side, Ashley Barnes. And now Long, who has Tarkowski's square just outside his own penalty area. Left-hand side is Charlie Taylor. The faint lights of Burnley twinkling behind the Bob Lord stand on the far side. That flag still hanging stiffly in the breeze from right to left towards Hugo Lloris's goal. Tottenham in possession. Lo Celso, halfway line, gets it back. Nice recycling here by Tottenham, wasting some precious time. Not particularly interested at the moment in chasing a second goal, more protecting what they have, which is a 1-goal lead, courtesy of Heung-min Son. Now they attack down the left-hand side, and the ball in towards Lo Celso, edge of the penalty area. Here's Son. Son has got Lamela on the left-hand side in the area. Chest control, gets the shot away on the volley. Wasn't powerful enough, and Pope saved down to his right-hand side.
Good play though from Spurs. You wonder where that kind of tempo's been all afternoon, all evening. The change of pace, the crisp passing, the direct running forward. You have to say, heavily involved Lo Celso. He's been very good since he's come on. He's not been on long, but everything he's done has been effective. It's been efficient and a real good tempo.
Hasn't scored a Premier League goal yet, Giovanni Lo Celso, in 30 appearances. One thing that's impressed, I just saw a long ball by Pope towards the edge of the Tottenham penalty area, and Eric Dyer coped once again with the very physical presence of Chris Wood very well indeed. He stood up to the task physically tonight, Eric Dyer. So too Toby Alderweireld. Here's Kevin Long for Burnley, square ball to Lowton, back it goes to the goalkeeper Pope. It's a sprinting Heung-min Son who tried to charge down that clearance and lost his balance and fell down in the penalty area. Now Clote slowly gets to his feet. These will be nervous times for Sean Dyche, who again celebrates his 8-year anniversary in charge here at Turf Moor on Friday, and he's going to make a change, and Goodmanson is going to be replaced here by Jay Rodriguez to add a bit of firepower up front. In his second spell at Burnley, re-signed from Southampton, Jay Rodriguez. He's returned from an ankle injury against West Brom last week, his first appearance of the season. Long ball, diagonal ball towards the right-hand side of that penalty area, and picking up the loose ball is Rodriguez. In fact, he'll let it go out for a corner kick on the Burnley right. It's his first action of the game. Forward come the centre-backs, and these are the opportunities really that Burnley will feel they have to take advantage of in the closing stages.
Well, they've just brought an extra body on who's very effective in this penalty area. Jay Rodriguez, it's an extra body Spurs need to be aware of.
Tarkowski got his head to a previous corner, and Lloris does excellently amongst the bodies. He comes and claims on the edge of his 6-yard box and then dives to the ground and lies on the ball, and that'll waste more precious time here for Tottenham.
What a difference that can make for your team. On the previous corner he was blocked in. Ashley Barnes really did a job on him, keeping him from being able to stray anywhere off that line, and on that occasion he couldn't do it, and suddenly he comes out, he takes a catch, he takes the pressure off his team, and a good opportunity for Burnley goes away.
Time is ebbing away here for Burnley. We're inside the final 5 minutes now, and they trail Tottenham by a 1-0, but they're attacking down the right-hand side. It's Sissoko who concedes another corner, identical to the situation a few moments ago, and Dwight McNeil will trot across with number 11 on his back to take it. Forward come the centre-backs again. And we've got Chris Wood in there, Ashley Barnes in there, Tarkowski on the edge of the 6-yard box. It's a long corner towards the back post, and once again Hugo Lloris excellently claims it and then rolls it out immediately to Højbjerg, who crosses the halfway line into Burnley territory, and one or two defenders are scampering back into position. Lamela in the midfield, instead of going right to the touchline to Son, he drops it back to Doherty. Doherty forward to Son, side-footed back to Højbjerg. Burnley not trying particularly hard with a press to win the ball back, and Lo Celso at walking pace just strokes the ball out to Davis, and this will do Tottenham Hotspur no problem at all.
Well, it's very educated, I'm going to call it, from Tottenham, and Jose Mourinho criticised them heavily for not managing the game better going into that last period last week, and they're all telling each other just to keep it moving. They're all trying to create space for each other, these Spurs players. They're not in a rush to go and attack and give the ball back easily to Burnley. They just want to keep the ball and see this game out.
Game management is the key, particularly after what happened against West Ham United in their last Premier League game. This time it's a slender advantage, just 1-0 going into the final 4 minutes of the 90 here at Turf Moor. 5 Live Sport, Arlo White and Leon Osman with you. Heung-min Son with the only goal so far, his 8th in the Premier League this season, teed up once again by Harry Kane from a corner kick, a header by Kane to the back post, and Son did the rest. Burnley in possession through Brownhill, halfway line, swings the ball out towards the right touchline. It's nodded back to Lowton. Lowton first time volleyed pass towards the penalty area, takes one bounce and into the grateful hands of Hugo Lloris, and another chance slips by for Burnley.
Good again from Lloris, really commanded that ball forward. Alderweireld was uncertain, did he need to deal with it? It was a clear shout from Lloris, I could hear it from here. Took the ball easily.
Harry Kane with a nice ball out to the left flank. Here's Heung-min Son running at Kevin Long, couple of step overs, right-footed Son, but Long has recovered very well. Now Son pirouettes and runs out of the penalty area in possession towards the corner flag. Back in it goes to Eric Lamela. Lamela cuts back onto his left foot. Tottenham doing well, keeping possession in the Burnley half, and just withdrawing the sting out of the home side, protecting this 1-goal advantage. Looks like Sean Dyche is about to make another change in the very closing stages here. Long ball crossfield towards Doherty. It's over both he and Charlie Taylor's heads, and it's out for a throw-in to Burnley, and the change to be made. Mate Vidra will come on for Ashley Barnes up front for Burnley, who are desperate for an equaliser here. Lost their only home game so far to Southampton by 1-0. They trail by 1-0 here. They've only scored 3 in the Premier League all season, only 1 from open play, and they've drawn a blank so far tonight. These are worrying times early in the season for Sean Dyche and Burnley.
It is. They're very well organised defensively. They work ever so hard, but you can see why they don't score many goals. They're so deep defensively. It's very difficult to go for back to front quickly, especially when you've got 2 strikers that prefer going after crosses and long balls rather than travelling the length of the field. So they do rely on set pieces.
Tottenham have it back. It was a crunching tackle by Eric Lamela on Dwight McNeil, who's still down on the ground. Meanwhile, by the corner flag on the right hand side is Højbjerg. Back it goes to Lo Celso, and instead of crossing the ball in, Dwight McNeil, by the way, still on the ground. I think Moussa Sissoko is going to just stroke the ball out of play on the far side so that McNeil can receive some attention. I heard a bit of a shriek from McNeil. Well, it was a fair challenge, I think, Leon, by Lamela. Let's take a look at the replay. A very hard challenge. He did leave the ground, didn't he? Only for a split second.
Yeah, he's back on the floor by the time they make contact. I'm not saying it's both his feet are off at the same time, but you know, they're not ready to make contact with the ball. He does go with his stud up of his left foot, and that's the one that makes contact with Dwight McNeil, but I can see why the referee didn't give a foul. He did win the ball.
Well, VAR will be checking everything in the background, of course, including potential red card situations, but Michael Oliver doesn't appear to be chatting to Stockley Park. As time ticks away here at Turf Moor, and Eric Lamela just takes a swig from a water bottle and pours the remaining water over his head, and we're into stoppage time now, of which there will be 4 minutes. 4 minutes for Sean Dyche's Burnley to try and draw level, and 4 minutes for Jose Mourinho's Tottenham Hotspur to see out and head to within a point of the top 4, and I think that would represent a pretty decent start to the season for Mourinho and Tottenham Hotspur. It could have been even better had they held up onto that lead against West Ham, and of course conceded the stoppage time penalty against Newcastle, but as the table settles down, they are up in the higher reaches of it. Here's Ben Davies to the touchline. He goes on the left hand side. Son, the busy, frenetic figure in possession. Back it is with Alderweireld. Right-footed ball to Doherty inside the Burnley half. This is what Tottenham want. Possession inside the Burnley half of the field. They're nowhere near the Tottenham goal. They can't get hold of the ball at the moment. Doherty again hits it back, right touchline. Here's Lo Celso, number 18 on his back, and he's got Davis in plenty of room on the left hand side. It's stroked through towards Son. Harry Kane almost broke for him in the penalty area, but a sliding Nick Pope gathers the ball and rolls it out to Charlie Taylor.
Yeah, Lo Celso again looking so sharp. I've not seen him. I know he's not been on the pitch for the majority of the game, but everything he's done since he's come on has been a top tempo. It's been crisp. It's been really good playing. You know, managers wish all their subs got up to the speed of a game that quickly.
Westwood, the final throws of the dice here for Burnley. Ball sent forward towards the edge of the penalty area. Vidra couldn't bring it under control. It's hammered clear by Doherty, but it's a throw to Burnley on their right hand side, and a change will be made, a final change by Jose Mourinho. And Heung-min Son, the goal scorer, is going to be withdrawn. What a season he's having so far, Leon Osman.
He's been terrific, hasn't he? Not just season, if we're being completely honest. I think it's been 3 or 4 seasons now. He's played at an incredible level. His pace, his intelligence has been fantastic, and he always seems to have end product, and he has yet again tonight.
So Joe Rodon comes on for his Tottenham debut. 23 years of age, centre-back, Welshman, signed from Swansea City on deadline day. Made 4 appearances in the Championship earlier this season, but he's there to bolster this Tottenham backline and see out a 1-0 victory. It's a clearance by Harry Kane, which has struck the heels of Michael Oliver. Now, the Burnley players are protesting because they're saying the ball would have gone straight towards them and they'd be back in possession, but The new convention is that the drop ball will be uncontested and Tottenham will have possession.
Yeah, that's the new rule, that if a player plays the ball and it hits the referee, that player gets the ball back. Harry Kane it was a semi-clearance. He was just trying to get it out of his own half, out of a danger area. It was going straight to the feet of Tarkowski. It hit Michael Oliver on the back of his heels, and he stopped the game to give the ball back to Spurs, which is one of those loopholes that you find in the game.
Fair to say that the Burnley players were less than chuffed with that situation. Tottenham have a throw now on the far side. The ball comes rolling back off the roof of the Bob Lord stand, deep into stoppage time here, and at the moment Tottenham Hotspur are closing the game out professionally. Burnley can't lay a glove on them in the closing stages. Heung-min Son's goal separates the sides. It's not been easy on the eye, but Tottenham won't mind if they can see out victory. But here come Burnley towards the edge of the penalty area. The shot by Wood is blocked by the legs of Eric Dyer, and Vydra couldn't get to the rebound, and it's cleared up towards the halfway line, only as far as Kevin Long. Tarkowski, short he goes to Brownhill. They've got plenty forward here for a long ball forward, and it's Harry Kane who slides and blocks the cross. Then it's sent in towards the edge of the penalty area. Commanding header by Dyer, and it's at the feet of Sissoko. Was he dragged down? No, says Michael Oliver, who puts the whistle to his mouth and blows for full time. And just look at Harry Kane just punching the air, now applauding his teammates, and they are a delighted team out there. Tottenham Hotspur, who have done just enough to outlast Burnley, and they go to within a point of the top four. It wasn't pretty, it certainly was effective, and Tottenham have closed out a 1-0 win, and Jose Mourinho looks absolutely delighted with what he's seen. Heung-min Son with the only goal of the game, and that leaves Sean Dyche's Burnley rooted into the bottom three, 1 point from 5 games, Leon.
Well, you've seen the ecstatic reactions from the Tottenham Hotspur's players. They seem to know how much this victory means to them, to come here to Turf Moor, to come away with victory. It was a hard-fought game. It was difficult. It wasn't easy on the eye, and yet to manage to go away with a victory, that's huge for Spurs. It's huge for the players. You should have seen the way the Spurs bench in unison jumped when Harry Kane just blocked the cross going into the penalty area with 3 seconds to go. This meant a lot to Spurs today. It didn't matter, it seemed, the performance. It didn't matter how many chances they created. It just mattered who took the points home, and everyone at Spurs seems delighted today.
And after throwing away 2 points at the very end against West Ham, they will be absolutely delighted with this, Kelly. Harry Kane with his 8th Premier League assist of the season, and he got 2 in the whole of last season, and he teed up Heung-min Son once again for his 8th Premier League goal. Final score here, Burnley 0, Tottenham 1.